this can't be happening in 2005. There has to be someone way more viewed than me. And they said, no, that's about it. And since then, I think a lot of more Latin roles were created because they saw the success of having a Latino on television. And so I'm really grateful for everybody who I've worked with. I'm looking forward, I've always been a part of MALDEF for the longest time. And so I want to look forward to working with John and all the issues that we have to face now with our wonderful new Congress. So excited. But I'm here today to announce my candidacy for President of the United States. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong speech. I'm only 31. I've got till like 2012. No, you know, actually, a lot of people ask me if I'm interested in ever running for office, and I was like, no. I mean, could you imagine the TV ads that they would run based on me as Gabrielle? I mean, this year, I think in the last 2 years, I've had an affair with a gardener and a teenager. I faked a paternity test. My husband went to prison, and I threw him out a window. Okay, so I could probably win in California, but nowhere else. No. You know, I have to admit, I have to follow politics more closely. I try to watch, you know, CNN and Headline News and read my paper. And when they first told me that a woman was the new number one spokesperson and leader in the Democratic Party, I thought they meant one of the Dixie Chicks. And found out it was Nancy Pelosi. Very excited. Very excited. You know, it's a historic time in America that we now have the first female speaker of the House, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, and it really shows the difference between Hollywood and Washington, because in Washington, a 66-year-old woman gets the best role. Yeah. I want to thank you, Mickey, for inviting me today to speak at this luncheon. I'm very honored. I don't want you guys to think of me as your keynote speaker. Just think of me as a temporary guest worker today. And I know a lot of you only know about me from what you read in the tabloids, and I have to tell you, the tabloids are the second most inaccurate, defamatory publications in history. I think the first is negative campaign ads. Yeah, it was an honor for me. Absolutely. Poor Bob. It was an honor for me to be introduced by Janet and the president and CEO of NCLR, who I've worked very closely with, and I'm always with you in your fight for improving opportunities for all Latinos. I want to mention my friend David Damien Figueroa. He's the one that he's like my philanthropic advisor. He's the one that got me involved in MALDEF and LULAC and NCLR and the United Farm Workers and Dolores Huerta Foundation. So he's gotten me more work than my agent. But I do assure you, this is my work. This is my livelihood. I always say Desperate Housewives is my job, but this is my work. And so I'm always pleased to be able to lend my name and speak whenever I can. You know, it's a bit of, I think the show's a great success. I'm very grateful for Desperate Housewives, and we have the best cast, we have the best writers, and the best directors anyone could work with. And I think Mark Cherry, our head writer, he does a lot to appeal to the political spectrum of our society. I think everybody on Wisteria Lane has the money of a Republican, but the sex life of a Democrat. So it's a really political show. No, I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. Sometimes I think people hate to hear actors speak about politics because they don't think they know what we don't know what we're talking about. But it's very, very close to my heart because I know the change that everybody can make in this room. And the truth is I do care passionately about politics, and that is why it's an honor for me to be here with you today. I think for too many Americans, when they hear the word politics or politician, it's a bad word, or they see everyone as villains, and it's not to me, because I've seen the good that everybody can do in this room, and I've worked with almost everybody in this room. So I've been a witness to and a beneficiary of the changes that people like you have brought to the Latino community and our nation. And I think with the new Congress and everything that's going on, I believe in the politics of hope. And if there's one thing that came out of this past election, is that the politics of fear and hate won't work. And there's one thing that unites all Americans, white, black, or brown, and it's that we have hope, that we want to change things and make them better for our next generation. And that is what you in this room and in this city do for all of us. You are a vessel of hope, and you are the promise of what is possible. So I thank you and everyone in this room. I'm in Washington here. I end this conference, the Latino Leaders Luncheon, because this is a moment to share my perspective and my story with you and how I got here and how I became who I was. And I think it's important to share these stories with each other to see if we're on the same path, if we had the same journey, if we can help each other out. And there's always four major issues that I try to stay informed about. And the first, of course, is immigration. And I think I speak for everyone in the entertainment industry when I say that if people cross the border and they work hard in this country, and this country becomes their home, and they learn the language, and they do everything that they can to be a member of our society, we should not deport them just because they're Canadian. I think it's a very big mistake. Canadians are Americans too. Both parties tried to address the immigration issue this year, but a 700-mile fence on a 2,300-mile border is not the sole answer for it, and it won't stop those who want to come in, and it has no effect whatsoever on the millions of immigrants already here. Over 60% of illegal immigrants here have been here over 5 years, and under our laws, their children are born here, and they're American citizens, and a nation that believes in family values cannot ignore the fact that they are part of the American family. So I know that so many people come down on so many different sides of the immigration issue, and I definitely don't have the solution, nor do I pretend to know what the solution is, but I do have hope. We have a new Congress, a new bipartisan spirit of the cooperation in the Capitol, and I believe that it's going to go a long way towards bringing true and fair immigration reform. And one part of the solution is helping our immigrant population. In helping our immigrant population is putting a greater emphasis on the second issue I care deeply about, which is education. My parents drilled it in to me and constantly stressed to me and my sisters that we have to have a good education. And from what I've read, there's a direct connection that bridges immigration reform and education, and it's called the DREAM Act. I can think of no better way. The fourth issue I am involved with is to protect the environment. This past election in California, I was really blessed to work on California's Proposition 87, which was aimed at reducing our consumption of oil and promoting alternative energy sources. And I got to campaign on it one day in San Francisco with President Clinton. And I have to admit, I was really nervous. I spent all morning, I was on the internet researching, making sure I knew everything just in case he asked me a question about Prop 87 and energy fuel and oil and everything. And he turned to me and he said, "Thank you for being here, Ms. Longoria. I just want to ask you one thing." And I said, "Yes, Mr. President." And he said, "Who gets killed off this week?" Desperate Housewives. And I didn't tell him. You have to watch it. No. Although, Prop 87 did not pass, if you know, it did not pass this time, but it did begin this amazing dialogue in the state and across the nation that I believe will result in soon finding affordable alternative energy sources, and that's really important to me. I know a lot of you wonder how I got here and what my journey was, but I'm from Corpus Christi, and my journey began with this fact. Yeah. I'm from Corpus. I was born and raised in Texas, and my family has been there since the 1800s. We have actually the same Spanish land grant from 1780s. That's the same land we're on now. So, when people say we didn't cross the border crossed us, that is so true in our case. One day we were Mexican, the next day we were Texan, the next day we were American. So, when we were in Texas, when my ancestors were in Texas, the only minority were Anglos. And so for me, my family was deeply rooted in Texas, and I was raised in the middle-class home, youngest of 4 girls, and I find it funny when people in Washington talk about fighting between 2 parties. If you want fighting, grow up with 3 Mexican sisters. I have very loving parents. They're wonderful, and they kept my mind focused on 2 things: going to church and going to college. And perhaps just as important as that focus, they made me believe in the power that each of us have in ourselves, and it was their belief in me that made me believe in myself and made me really have the courage to move out to LA and pursue my dreams and find out all the opportunities and possibilities America has to offer. You know, and a conference like this helps empower all Latinos, and I think we do have to take it one step further, and it's up to ourselves to empower each other, but most importantly to empower ourselves. And there's so many ways to do this, and one of the ways that I did it was gaining inner strength from people who came before me or role models that I had, and I wanted to name 3 of the role models I had in my life. The first, of course, is Dolores Huerta. Growing up, she faced discrimination, poverty, and the turmoil of a broken home. And many in that situation, a lot of people in that situation would have fallen by the wayside, but Dolores didn't fall. She rose to greatness. She's an activist, an organizer, the co-founder of the United Farm Workers, and a mother of 11, who somehow managed to balance her commitment to her family and family values and her passion for social justice to create a movement that has changed the world forever. My second inspiration was Selena. Being from Corpus Christi, growing up, I dreamed one day. Yes. It was just this magic she had, and I know I'm able to live my dream because I got to walk in the path of a legend, and I got to follow a trail blazed by Selena, so I thank her and her family. And my most important inspiration to me was my mother. She was she is the center of our family. She raised 4 girls. She was a teacher, had a $20,000 salary. My oldest sister is mentally handicapped, and so she became a special education teacher. And the way she juggled everything and the way she instilled traditional values and everything she taught me, just believing in myself, was incredibly valuable to me. So once I was armed with my college education from Texas A&M, Kingsville, and a belief in myself, I headed to Hollywood. And eventually I landed the part of Young and the Restless, which is the #1 soap opera in the history of daytime. If you don't count Congress, it's the #1 soap opera. The #1 soap opera in the States. But no, somehow I got the part. I remember standing in line with 200 Latinas outside CBS in line, and it was the first contracted Latino role in the history of Young and the Restless. They always had guest stars, and they always had supporting roles, and this was the first 3-year deal that they were going to give, so I think everybody was there. And after that, I landed a few more roles, and then, of course, the role of Gabrielle on Desperate Housewives. And she's made television history because she's the first Latino to have a white gardener. I think that's the biggest barrier we broke with Gabrielle. You know, the truth is, it is a very exciting time for us, Alex stated. It's an exciting time for Latinos in the industry. Instead of, you know, in the past, we always played criminals and you know, thugs going to jail, and now we play CEOs and members of Congress, and we still end up going to jail, but at least we are improving the roles that we get to play. But I'm really excited about the progress we've made. We've gone from minor parts to starring parts to producing parts. The Latinos in the industry range from established people like George Lopez to up-and-comers like America Ferrara. And we're not just actors. Yeah. We're not just actors anymore. We're now producing. Salma Hayek is the driving force behind Ugly Betty. It's a wonderful TV show, and you know, she brought it to the table and is an active producer. I produced The Almas alongside NCLR and David Chavez this year. So the entertainment industry is open to us and our influence and what we have, and I think it's going to grow each and every year. There are a lot of reasons why I fight for Latino causes, and I think the first is because the powers that be see that we're a growing market. And in Hollywood, networks and studios, they don't really care about your color of skin, brown, white, black. They care about the color of money, which is important for our society because we're such a huge buying power. And second reason I think our future is bright is because I have such high hopes for Latinos in America because we are America. And I think the future will bring... I think our future in the entertainment industry is the same as our history here in America is